Dewitt Henry. Dewitt Henry's books are Restless for Words from Finishing Line Press in 2023. A U.S. edition of the book Foundlings, Found Poems from Prose with art by Ruth K. Henry. It was originally published in the UK, I think. Trim Reckonings, poems, and Do I Dream or Wake, longer poems. All of the latter published by Pierre and Springs Press in 2024. His Perspectives, Uncollected Essays is coming this fall. He was the founding editor of Plowshares and is professor emeritus at Emerson College at DewittHenry.com. So,
if you don't mind, I'm going to take a chair. I'm standing. No, in the back, if you can't hear my words, they're important to me. So, do I dream or wake? This is a line from Romeo and Juliet, which I spent 40 years teaching at Emerson. It's primarily longer poems, and that's just what happened to me. I was writing lyrics and playing around without a lot of training, even though I've taught poetry and lived it for years, and had wonderful poets as close friends. But the poems are mostly narrative, and they'll orient you as I read them. Topic: on migration, as in emigration or immigration. Each MLAK Day, Watertown celebrates diversity with an annual breakfast where 400 attend. Prizes for high school essays are awarded. A diversity speaker delivers the keynote. Restaurants donate hot food. Chorale groups sing. Paul's glad hand. It strikes me as our town's best spirit forward. Worst, by contrast, was intimidation by a teen gang and its leader on the block where Plowshares, the literary magazine that I had co-founded, moved in 1977 from our apartment into a rundown storefront. A fire station adjoined the block and back. Facing the street were a laundromat, an Irish bar, a pizzeria, a karate studio, then us. A newspaper distribution drop, a general market, and an auto supply store. Each store had plate glass windows where the morning sun bleached wares. Ours had a front room like a fishbowl, then one long room behind it, which was blocked from street view, except through the full-length glass of the front door. 600 square feet, first floor, plus 600 in the basement. It once had been a barber shop, most recently a display room for novelty lighting fixtures. Rent began at $300. The landlord was the grocer, Eddie Kadagian, and his wife Marie, who had inherited both the market and properties from Eddie's father. Both had kindly, open personalities, as did Paul Sullivan, the pizzeria's owner and cook, who attracted kids, barflies, firemen, and local residents. I never knew the gang leader's name. He lived around the corner in a trailer-sized 2-bedroom owned by his mother, who lived with the firemen. He sat with buddies across the street on the gas station's curb and threw rotten apples that had splattered on our window. He shouted at my coming and going, "Hey, hey, library fairy!" I didn't want to engage. I worried we'd get a brick through the uninsured window. Our screen door did get slashed, and its bottom plate kicked in. Husband, father, writer, editor, and teacher, here I was, founding a literary magazine on a shoestring, grants, and volunteerism. By day, I lugged in bags of mail from a P.O. box in Cambridge, or crammed my car with canvas mail bags sorted for nonprofit mailing. 3 times each year, an 18-wheeler managed to back in behind the storefronts and wheeze to a stop, would unload a skid of 20-some 100-pound boxes, and trip after trip, wheel them inside. To these neighborhood kids, their parents, and the guys in the bar, our business made no sense. How could we pay rent? We had a stream of volunteers and interns, mostly young women. My first managing editor, Joyce Pesaroff, God bless, drove from Arlington for 3 days each week. Readers for fiction and poetry signed out submissions and returned keepers, then signed out more. Guest editors visited for manuscripts and stayed for lunch. Many nights I had the office to myself to work on my novel, read or grade papers. I hung blackout blankets at the entrance so no light showed. I heard voices. Anybody in there? Nah. Kids like to loiter under our overhang, to smoke, finish a slice, drink beer, or shelter from weather. Plowshares? Fuck is it? Dunno. Library books or something. I heard the splatter sound. Since the back door only locked from inside, I waited for them to get bored and leave. I felt that if I suddenly stepped out, asked them to move, and locked the front door behind me, I'd be asking for more trouble. One night, pizzeria was set on fire. Kids had broken in Paul's back door, made hamburgers, and left his grill on. In our storefront, smoke stained every surface. Pick up a manuscript, and its exact shape remained like a shadow. The smell lingered for weeks. Eventually, the gang leader got his license, joined the Navy maybe. In any case, he disappeared. We became a fixture for 15 years, financed by state and federal grants, fundraisers, and by Emerson College, where I taught and chaired the writing department. We turned our fishbowl into a borrowing library. Computers and a dot matrix printer replaced typewriters, filing cabinets, and files of 3x5s. Our first calculator simplified bookkeeping. The college stored admissions brochures in our basement. The karate studio was replaced by a catering service. We agreed to move operations to campus and formalize our Emerson affiliation, but still rented the storefront for storage, at least until 55 back issues had been digitalized, making it pointless to store more than a few cartons. By then, Don Lee, also blessed, my tech-savvy former MFA student, while serving as managing and associate fiction editor, joined me in the melancholy task of carrying 55 cartons of pristine, unsold back issues up the basement stairs and dumping them with display stands recycled from the town library. My desk and chairs and other off-street furnishings, along with trash bags filled with papers and other books, into the bed of a trash removal truck. I dropped off my keys to Eddie, the landlord, who was confined to his home nearby with an aggressive cancer. Marie let me in. He was watching TV in pajamas and arguing with his elderly mother-in-law, but was glad to see me. He'd been fond of Connie and always given treats to my son. I also gave him each new Plowshares issue, which Marie enjoyed. They were selling the block to a developer. He missed the store and his friends. I wished him well and shook his hand. Well, the second topic is also, I think, timely, on humanity. I cautioned my teenage daughter not to lose herself in social causes, since she admired our closest family friends who were activists for peace. You do what you can and live with what you can't, I told her. I did. I even cited the passage from Middlemarch about the roar of tragedy on the other side of silence, and how it would overwhelm us unless we wore earmuffs like airline baggage handlers. Fortunately, she didn't listen to me, or if she did, argued back over years to come with her dedicated, gifted life. From third world studies at Hampshire to a semester in Guatemala, travels to Europe, the Middle East, the Fulbright, to Bogota, Colombia, hip-hop writer and singer, painter, single mom, part-time ESL teacher in Chinatown, tending bar at Wally's Jazz Club, youth arts director at Hernandez Cultural Center. She started hip-hop exchanges between Boston and Cartagena youth, worked for Partners of the Americas, moved to Cartagena with her daughter, then 4, met and married Diego, who shared her vision, embraced the gospel of hip-hop by KRS-One as her guide, until a right-wing blogger, had a second daughter, moved back near us, taught Spanish full-time in middle school, earned her MFA in public art, became an instructor in Kinging and Nonviolence conflict reconciliation, was supported by her principal and town officials in moving our suburb towards a beloved community, until a right-wing blogger blamed her for indoctrinating students with woke prop about the history of policing. Our local cops felt betrayed in the midst of budget hearings. An anonymous caller made threats. Super of Schools decided not to fire, but put a warning in her file for failing to ask parents' permission. After taking personal leave, she chose to resign instead. Risks working as a full-time artist. Art is one of the strongest bridges I know, her website reads, winding us between and across enemy lines, smudging borders like somewhat charcoal dust. Commissions, grants, and sales have been enough to provide for life and family without teaching. They live just up the street. In materialistic nations, charitable tithes are a decency tax, while actual taxes buy health care, education, public safety, sanitation, communication, roads, bridges, disaster relief, the myriad machinery of modern life. Religious nations are fanatical. Their faithful masses endure want while believing in a paradisal afterlife. In all nations, perhaps, the ignorant and powerless endure the non-mercy of the propertied, ruthless, and best armed. Brutal or kind, gated communities security, border policy, miasmas of language, of society, of culture, of resources. In a cattle car to doom, only the fittest survive, or luckiest, or think they do. Our man-made probes seek extraterrestrial life that have revealed only barren worlds so far, only matter, not even microbes. While in human anatomy, with other probes and tools, with chemicals and surgery, we treat our cancers and our infertilities, repair or replace vitals, some with transplants from donors, others made of artificial parts. Bomb cells with radiation, devise miracle drugs for pain, for emotions, for new viruses. Splice DNA to kill genetic disease. Map the circuits running our brains. Only, still, we've never found the seat of soul. In the same meditative manner, this one's called Advice for Midlife Daughter and Son. Asked for life advice, I can only respond to my adult daughter with Polonius's platitude, to thine own self be true. A hug, and then admit to a confusion. Whatever a self is. Is it personhood, soul, nature, being, heart, body, psyche, talent, appetite, conscience, purpose? I want self-realization for both daughter and son. Self-confidence as opposed to self-despair, self-betrayal, self-neglect. I fear the condition that W.H. Auden named West's disease in honor of Nathaniel West's cautionary tales where people fail to translate wishes into desires and to grow. Be your own best friend, but also get over yourself. Beware narcissism, vanity, and short-circuiting of the mirror stage. What is I to thou? Cultivate your nature and spirit. Nurture gifts. In my daughter's case, her generosity, belief in parenting, teaching, public service, and love of justice, as well as her making art and writing. Or my son's dedication to family and friends, his sense of humor, decency, love of sports, cooking, challenges of corporate work, and anxiety about giving his wife and daughter the best lives possible in a world with nightmares at the door. We have our public selves and selfies, websites and CVs, our lists of friends, our memoirs and autobiographies. We advertise ourselves, or try to. I think of my businessman father, a recovering alcoholic who's struggling to outlive his private shame, and of my mother who said she had tried to design her life. First, third for family, second for world, third, finally, for self. Except she ran out of time for the third. Compounds of self fill 7 columns of Webster's. Self-made, sufficient, satisfied, self-harm, reproach, pity, and self-forgiveness. We contrast public selves with private, conscious with somatic, ego with id. Stereotyped, we risk mistaken ID. I've got the wrong person. It wasn't me. It was the drugs, not who I am. Don't know what got into me. We self-project, do unto others. We suffer disorders, Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, psychoses, and amnesia. We suffer breakdowns and depression, seek to escape or dull the pain, lose ourselves to addictions, to temporary escapes and reliefs, need warnings, company, and help, others we can trust. Think of Lear's inner storm. Oh, let me not be mad. I am more sinned against than sinning. Or, feminists ask, is daughter's cruelty a payback for abuse? So what's your story? Othello's is revised by Iago, who refuses to wear heart on sleeve to offer motives. What you know, you know. Othello, meanwhile, delivers self-judgment as one who loved not wisely but too well. Hamlet's story is left for Horatio to tell, for fear that others may degrade his cause. Learn from your mistakes. Win your life by losing it. Take roads less traveled by. Be all that you can be. Heed young Keats with his veil of soul-making, or Plato with his daemon revealed by becoming. Individuals join in human chain. Blind Borges saw Shakespeare as no one at all, as was Borges himself, to himself. I think that's a fair place to stop.